Listen, it is always a fabulous day to celebrate your people. So, happy motherfucking Indigenous Peoples Day, bitch! Let's just start with the fact that I have been dying to fucking make this video because there's so many people that just are dying, even more than me, to fucking work with the Loa and the Orishas, that I'm just like, you sure about that? Are you sure? Because, bitch, it's not a game. So, a lot of people have been asking me, when is the right time? When will I know, I'm ready to be initiated. I'm ready to take the next step in my spiritual practice. And, well, I just decided to make this video for that exact reason. Now, a lot of our godparents, especially in these initiatic religions, they typically wait a very long time. You would notice, especially for those that have been with your godparents for a very long time, you would notice that it takes a few trips out of the country, or it takes a couple ceremonies, it takes a couple years before you actually get initiated. And for a lot of the reason, it's, because you have to work with your dead. You have to work with your spirit guides. You have to work with your muertos, typically. And in the 21 divisions, working with your muertos consists of working with either La División India or La División de los Gede. And the Gedes, are typically working with your dead. You are developing a relationship with your dead before, you begin to have a relationship with the other Loa, or the higher Loa. So I just really wanted to talk about that today. But I'm not going to talk about the 21 divisions. I'm actually talking about Espiritismo, working with the dead, period. And basically everything that you should know before you even get initiated, what is expected of you as, a growing spiritualist or a growing spiritual individual. I don't want to use the term witch, because not everyone in this path is a witch. A lot of people use this path, to do good. A lot of people use this path to heal themselves and their family, and they really focus on the good side. So I can't really expressingly say witch and mean it in the context that I would, because I understand that a lot of people don't like that term. So with respect to that, I'm just going to call everyone spiritual. So as a growing spiritualist or a growing spiritual individual, this is what you should know. I'm going to keep this video brief because I really just wanted to brief you guys into what you should know and why it takes so long before you get initiated, and what you should really know before you get initiated and why. So number one, being a medium, anyone can be a medium. That's something that you do not have to be initiated for. You do not have to pay somebody to help you become a medium. You do not do anything when it comes to becoming a medium. The power behind being a medium is you have a connection with the spirit worlds before you get initiated to have a connection with Aloha. I know that this is so important because there's so many people that work with the Loa in the 21 divisions, my Dominican friends, and my Haitian friends, that they do not have mediumistic faculties developed. So they wait for ceremonies to speak to the Loa, or they often, would just wait for a reading to speak to the Loa. Whereas if you become a medium, you develop your mediumistic faculties, you can have a relationship with these spirits beforehand, you know what I mean? And you can actually begin to hear their voices, receive their energies, pull them to you, you know what I mean? And that's all about developing as a medium. You are listening to their voices, you are pulling their energies, you learn all of these things. So it's very important to become a medium in order to have a relationship before you get initiated, especially so that if the people that are initiating you are not trustworthy, or if there's just regularly someone in your life that you shouldn't trust or have in your life, your spirits can warn you, they can protect you. So it's very important for you to do these things and develop as a medium before you get initiated. So starting with the first one, as a medium, you should know how to perform area cleansings. Area cleansings mean you should know your incenses. You gotta know your incenses for specific areas too. For example, if you're in your home, you should know that myrrh and frankincense are great incenses to burn before a ceremony, before, you have people over, and even after people are there. You should know, to burn sage when you're outside if you want to just get rid of certain energies. You should know Palo Santo, also something that is very purifying and very, it consecrates things, it makes the air very holy, it gets things ready, and it cuts the cords of witchcraft. You gotta know these instances. You gotta know all of these instances. You gotta know how Three Kings works, how Dragon's Blood works. You gotta know how Storax works. You got to know all of these instances, and there's so much more, and their purposes and their uses. You got to know why you burn honey and all of these things. So really, when it comes to area cleansings, you should know your instances off rip. Like if there's something in the air, you should know what instance you got to burn to get rid of certain energies, okay? Same thing, like if you're going to a haunted area, just an example, right? Because it's Halloween, oh, spooky. Just know the instance that you should be burning in an area that is haunted with muertos. You know what I mean? And which ones not to burn. You gotta know your herbs, okay? Because this is part of area cleansing too. Typically, you know, at mediumistic ceremonies, and especially during 21 division ceremonies, there is always a fuente, you know, a fuente that carries the energy of getting rid of things. It holds typically perfumes. There's usually a small fuente that holds perfumes. It would have an herb like rue in it. It would have holy water, and people would cleanse themselves with these waters. And a fuente, by the way, in English means a cup or a fountain. That's what they call it. A fountain of water. It holds the spiritual fluids of the ceremony in order to help get rid of any energies or influences that are on you that don't allow you to feel the spiritual nature of what's going on. It grounds you. It's very grounding. You got to know your waters too. Talking about waters, you know, as a spiritual medium, you got to know your waters, such as you got to know when you need Pompeya, when you need Agua Florida, what's the purpose of violet water, what's the purpose of Calanga water. All of these waters, these perfumes, you know what I mean, these fragrances, you got to know why, you know, what their purposes are and when to use them, and you know what commissions they actually belong to, but I'll get into that later. Just know your waters, okay? And you know, you gotta know all of these things and why, because if someone asks you, you gotta be able to, you know, defend yourself and say, well, this is why you use this shit, because there's a lot of mediums that will literally test your knowledge, okay? And that's called Medium the Fuerza. I got into that on my Instagram a long time ago. But as a medium, you also gotta know your prayers for healing, okay? There are many people that come to these ceremonies and come to mediumistic circles in order to seek healing. You gotta know your prayers for healing and the certain saints or the certain commissions that work with healing. You have to be able to detect a causa, which is typically a haunting or, you know, a spirit that doesn't want to let someone go. And they're usually causing, you know, they can cause you a variety of ailments, right? Because there are people that lived and died. So they can cause you things from like a headache to injury, physical injury, to depression, random insomnia, chronic insomnia. They can literally make you go through just a lot of things that, you know, normally affect humans in a negative way. So you gotta know your healing prayers for those things, which also goes into knowing levantamientos and rompimientos, which is, in English, it means, you know, lifting and breaking. You gotta know these things in order to lift a causa or lift that dead spirit and transmute that spirit out, make that spirit, you know, ask for perdition, ask for, you know, pardons, ask and make amends with the spirit in order to get that spirit to leave that person's body. And, you know, they'll be transmuted either into the waters or into something else, or a jar, if the need goes to it, where that spirit will be trapped, you know, and they can also receive the light and be sent away. So you gotta know how to detect the causa during ceremonies. That's part of being a medium, or just anywhere. You gotta know when someone is being haunted by a spirit or a spirit is latched onto them, which is very common these days. When you are feeling a certain way for too long, you kind of attract a spirit that can resonate with that. And y'all begin to trauma bond by you connecting thoughts and dots, you know, that spirit would also think about, and then you start to overthink and making up assumptions, and that can really be the influence of a spirit. You gotta understand also how to speak to the dead, okay, and being fearless. You gotta understand how to hear the dead also, which means prayer and meditation. Hearing is associated with meditation because that is when you are silencing your mind to hear your spirits, and praying is associated with speaking to the dead. And of course, you can always just speak like I'm speaking to this camera, looking and sounding crazy. My mother was to walk in, Lord. But, you know, that's literally what it is. Now, you also got to know divination and, you know, have a connection with your guides. You got to know the moral codes of conduct as a medium, meaning no stealing, no drug doing, no orgies, you know, like just things that, you know, you keep your temple clean, you keep this body clean, and that's part of that. You got to know as a medium your charms, your protection methods and tools. So charms including mal de ojo, you know, how to bless those things. You got to understand also how to bless objects and bless statues, you know what I mean? You got to know protection methods such as, you know, the rosary. You got to know also your prayers of protection. You got to know you know, your tools such as, you know, a blade for protection, waters for protection, bells for protection, maracas for protection, you know, candles for protection, your colors, you gotta know your fuelas, you gotta, like, there's literally years of knowledge in this, and this is something that you gotta program yourself to remember. So it's not easy, and it definitely won't be overnight. You gotta understand as a medium the spirit realms and the mediumistic philosophy. You gotta understand, you know, how to serve each commission of the spirits. You gotta understand also how to build a relationship with each commission. And also how to speak to your own dead before you can help anybody else. And I'm sorry if I'm looking away, I'm just looking at my notes, you know, so that I don't forget anything. You also got to know as a medium, you know, activities for spiritual development, such as, you know, activities can be very easily going to church, you know, listening to mass. Activities can be going to a powwow, listening, you know, to the drums of the Native American powwows. You can go to ceremonies, you know, and listen to those vibrations, you know, receive your development in these ways. And last but not least, as a medium, you gotta know your symbols and talismans of power. So one easy symbol, you know, is the cross for some of you guys. Another one would be for some people, you know, the maraca or the medallion that the caciques used to wear, the taínos. Symbols of power for a lot of people is the Bible, the Quran, you know, depending on your tradition, the Vedas, you know, just many different things, many different things are symbols of power for some people. It could also be, you know, a Catholic saint, the image of a saint, a Kali Mata statue, it could be a Lakshmi statue, it could be, you know, just plants, you know what I mean? Like, these are also tools and symbols of power for a lot of people. So your power and symbols of power will change also, you know, depending on your beliefs. Some people believe also in crystals. That is a symbol of power for some people too. So these are all great things to know, okay? And as a medium, you can't all learn this within a day. Like, because again, you got to program yourself to know this, and you also have to be exposed to the environments that require for you to apply this knowledge. So it is not something that is going to be overnight. So understand, I may have missed some things, and if you guys, you know, that are mediums out there and you suggest something, please leave it in the comments below, because I want everyone to know that there is just more than just knowing some prayers before you get initiated into 21 divisions, or get initiated, or even walk, you know, for example, Christianity, or walk even Luciferianism, or walk Hinduism, or walk anything. Whether you're getting initiated or walking a theistic path, it doesn't matter. What does matter is, however, that you have a relationship with spirit, so the spirit can guide you and let you know when someone is corrupt, because you do not have to be in a religion to be corrupt, and even people in religions are corrupt, okay? And your guides are meant to protect you and avoid danger, okay? So I'm making this video out there for you guys. Just know, you know, that this is just some of the things that you learn. This is what brings you closer to your guides. It is really just that easy. All right, love? So, Luz y Progreso, love you all. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day. I hope you all enjoy this video. Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends, because a lot of people really want this knowledge, and I'm just putting it out there for you guys because I love you. Love you lots. Luz y Progreso.